whatever you can say. So this PROEM, before going to PROEM, let us see a few sentences about the objective of this writing of secret doctrine. Madame Blavatsky, in the preface to the secret doctrine, mentions that aim of this work, that means the writing secret doctrine, may be thus stated: to show that nature is not a fortuitous concurrence of atoms, and to assign to man his rightful place in the scheme of the universe, to rescue from the degradation the archaic truths which are the basis of all religions, and to uncover to some extent the fundamentals unity from which they all sprang. Finally, to show that the occult side of the nature has never been approached by the science of modern civilization. So these are 6 points, which say this is the primary aim of the writing the secret doctrine. And in this one, if we see that all the points are important, and all these points have been described in theological texts, religious texts, and science differently. But in the secret doctrine, the altogether different approach is brought about based on the knowledge given by the Jivanmukta Rishi to Blavatsky. And that's why it is sometimes looks rather against what was written in the theological text and the secret doctrine. But then she also said that even theological texts like Purana, Vedas, Gita, Bible, Johar, all that they also mentioned somewhere, but somehow in symbolic term, in allegorical term. And that's why the subject was not clear. So in the secret doctrine, attempt has been made to express those things in more clear terms. So having said that aims, now about the PROEM. PROEM she has given at the very beginning of the volume 1, Cosmogenesis. And the importance of PROEM is that itself prompts a grand and profound wisdom teaching. This chapter itself is profound and grand wisdom teaching on several basic occult concepts which have been described in detail later in the later pages. University stages in the symbols, Parabrahman, Mool Prakriti, space as eternal mother, father, 7 cosmic elements, 3 fundamental propositions, Pohat, etc., etc. All these basic ideas which have been covered in detail in subsequent pages have been touched upon in this PROEM, and in very somehow poetical and attractive language also. So that is the importance of the PROEM. Now coming to the PROEM itself, she starts the PROEM saying that when she visited ashrama of her masters in Tibet, she was shown a certain very old text book, which is written in glyph form, symbolical form, and she's starting with that description. She's saying an archaic manuscript, a collection of palm leaves made impermeable to water, fire, and air by some specific unknown process is before the writer's eye. Before the writer's eye, that means masters were showing her some text written on the palm leaves, which have been preserved by some process which was not known to her, not told to her, and they are not deteriorated by action of environment, air, fire, even not cannot be burned by fire, all the same. So almost say permanent durable, those palm leaves have been made. On that, something is written, which is described subsequently. So the first page is, on the first page, she says, the immaculate white disk within a dull background. The first page says white disk with a dull background. On the next page, the same disk but with its central point. The first, that means the first page, where the white disk is there on a dull background, student knows to represent the cosmos in eternity. That knows cosmos eternity. Madame Blonsky uses 3 spellings for the cosmos. One is cosmos, K, starting with K and everything capital, cosmos, in eternity. The first page is representing this cosmos, which is representing, writing as with K and all capital letters. That cosmos is actually essence of all the subsequent cosmos to appear in subsequently. So that is the cosmos eternity. Before the reawakening of still slumbering energy, the emanation of the world in later system. Emanation of the world, logos, word is word was with God, word in God Bible, and in our Hindu script is Shabda Brahman. So Shabda Brahman, that means the frequency of sound, is the first appearance of the energy and the awakening of the Manvantara. So before that, this is cosmos in eternity. The point in the Theto Immaculate Disk, the second page, space and eternity in Pralaya denote the dawn of the differentiation. The second page, the point in the center one, disk, white disk, the dawn of eternity, dawn of the differentiation. That means dawn of the Manvantara from the stage of Mahapralaya. It is the point in the mundane egg, which is our Hindu scriptural card, Hiranyagarbha. The germ within the latter, which will become the universe. That is the germ which will become universe. Now, universe, there is different, universe is altogether different meaning. Universe is not cosmos. Universe is only one, say, cosmos or one solar system or one galaxy system, different one can use. So, a universe, the boundless periodical cosmos, the all and bound periodical cosmos. So, now then one is eternity cosmos, one is periodical cosmos, which becomes the universe. This germ being latent and active periodically and by turns. This germ, that means this energy becomes potential and latent. It appears and disappears, but is always there. The one circuit is divided, one circuit is divine unity, from which all proceeds, whither all return. The one circle represents the divine unity in which all, from which all proceeds. All proceeds means all the worlds, universes, solar systems, including the beings in those systems, appear and get resolved during Pralaya. Its circumference is a forcibly limited symbol in view of the limitation of human mind. The circumference is, she says, only, there's no circumference actually because it's boundless plane of the cosmos. So, but circumference is inscribed according to her, so that human mind can think at least something about that stage, because otherwise it is beyond the human conception and human thought. Indicates the abstract, ever incognizable presence. Presence also she says in capital. Incognizable presence. Later on she will come, that presence is that Parabrahman consciousness. And its plane, the universal soul. The plane of the disk is the universal soul, which will appear as the universal soul or Paramatman. Although the two are one. Although the two, that is in ever incognizable presence and the Paramatman are one. One in the sense that they're always linked together, they are never separate. Only the face of the disk being white and the ground all down black shows clearly that its plane is the only knowledge, dim and hazy, though it still is, that is attainable by man. This sentence implies that man means not the average man like you and mean, but even perfected, highest initiate, highest adept, they cannot know, they cannot comprehend, they cannot conceive the idea of the whole cosmos, whole Parabrahma. But at least they can conceive something limited, and that limitation concept is indicated by the circumference in that dull background. It is on this plane that the Manvantaric manifestation begins. And on this plane, the Manvantaric manifestation begins, for it is in this soul that slumbers during prayer the divine thought. In this soul, that earlier she said the plane of the disk is the divine soul, which will appear as the logos, and then that will inhabit the divine thought, which will, according to which, in the divine thought, all the universes, all the beings, all the things to appear in that coming Manvantara or will be in archetype form. So that divine thought is there, wherein lies concealed the plan of every future cosmogony and theogony. Now, this is very, very important. In that seed, the plan of every future cosmogony and theogony. Cosmogony means appearing or manifestation of cosmos and universes, including all the many universes in that. And theogony. Theogony means manifestation of all the intelligent beings, all the, you can say, gods and angels or Dhani Chauhans, which will appear from time to time in various universes. All the seed of all those and plan of all those lies in that latent. It is hardly necessary to remind the reader once more that the term divine thought is not something which a man thinks, because man has the mind and brain and he utilizes that to think something. Here it is not that thing. Here it is the archetype things. All the things to manifestation archetype stage, in ideal stage are there. The unconscious, that is unconscious, is not thinking like man, and only who realize how far intuition soars, only the person whose intuition very highly developed, like adept, they can to some extent have conception of the divine thought. That means it is the beyond the thinking of the ordinary human being. But still, secret doctrine is given so that an ordinary human being who are interested in the topic, they may attempt to think at least two, and that by that practice, they will at least have some glimpse of the things being described. In the one life, eternal, invisible, yet omnipresent, without beginning or end, yet periodical in its regular manifestation, between which periods reigns the dark mystery of non-being, unconscious, yet absolute consciousness, unrealizable at the one self-existing reality. Truly a chaos to the sense, a cosmos to the region. All these sentences are written almost in a poetic language, and that's why they appeal to the higher senses or our inner senses. Now, one life, again, she writes in capital. She is writing purposely certain words in capital and certain words in small, certain words with starting capital and then small. There is purpose behind it. It is not arbitrarily written like this. So one life is written capital. That means one life eternal and invisible. That means that seed, it was sown, the central point, which will appear as one life and which is always there. Sometimes it remains invisible, sometimes visible, periodical. When the pralaya happens, it is invisible, and when the manvantara happens, it is visible. Visible means visible in various forms, various beings, in various systems. So, but it is always there. And during the two stage of manifestation, there is dark mystery of non-being. Dark mystery, that does not mean that light and darkness. Dark means it is beyond the comprehension and knowledge of the human being, that we cannot know that. We are ignorant about it. In that sense, it is dark and non-being. For us, it is non-being. but still that is Venus is always there. And that is unconscious from the human angle, because at that time there's no second thing about which the first thing become conscious. There's no duality, but absolute consciousness also. Again, these are the opposing word or contradictory word to explain that. That is, the human mind is unconscious, but is absolute conscious. That means all the consciousness, different consciousness at different levels, are inherent in that state which is called unconscious, and they will appear during manifestation. So that's why she says, again, a beautiful phrase, a chaos to the sense, a cosmos to the reason. Chaos, vyavastha, disorder. That means our senses, our normal senses, will not able to perceive something order in this description, but a cosmos. And the meaning of cosmos is beautifully ordered. But to the reason, to the logic, when reason being word is reason means higher logic, higher manas or buddhi manas. For that, it becomes a beautiful ordered description. It's one absolute attribute which is itself eternal, ceaseless motion. That one life that has got one absolute attribute which is ceaseless motion. That motion is always there. Ceaseless motion never stops, even during prayer. Just like a man or woman, when we sleep, our heartbeat does not stop. Heart continues beating. In the same way, when the whole universe goes under pralaya, that means active period turns into passive period, or it will become Brahma night, Brahma sleep. Even then, the one life continues to beat, continues to vibrate. So, and that is called that ceaseless motion is called great breath. Just like our heartbeat is producing breathing, inhaling and exhaling, even during sleep time. So almost same simile is given just to make us understand to some extent. That is called great breath, which is the perpetual motion of the universe in the sense of limitless, ever-present space. Over here again, space is capital. Ever-present, limitless space. Space is also there. Space and motion. So there are two aspects of that incognizable presence. Earlier word was presence, and now it is being described that ceaseless motion and space. That which is motionless cannot be divine. But then there is nothing, in fact, the really absolutely motionless, the universal soul. In the universal soul or whole universe, whether during pralaya or during manvantara, there is nothing motionless. And therefore, where there is motion, there is life, and therefore life is everywhere at every time, whether during pralaya or during manvantara. Almost 5 centuries now, she is quoting some authors, some philosophers, some scriptures to support this statement that they also describe same thing in a different symbolical form or sometimes in a brief form. Now she is quoting after 5 centuries BC, Lavoisier, the professor, the instructor of Democritus, Greek philosopher, maintained that space was filled eternally with atoms actuated by a ceaseless motion. Now she is quoting this philosopher, Greek philosopher, to support that certain philosophers were acquainted intuitively with this stage. And because he is writing that the space is actuated by atoms in a ceaseless motion, the latter generating in due course of time when those atoms aggregated rotatory motion through mutual collision, producing later movements. Epicurus and Lavoisier taught that the same only, adding to the later motion of the atoms the idea of affinity and occultation. So they describe the atoms which are filled with space. They are continually having motion, both lateral, vertical, sideways, and they have got affinity. Affinity includes both repulsion and attraction. So these atoms, some atoms will attract each other, some atoms will repulse each other, and by that process, they will form more molecules and cells and body. All those happen. Body means globes and solar systems and all the beings, bodies form. So, from the beginning of the man's inheritance, from the first appearance of the architect of the globe, he lives in the unable deity was recognized and considered under its only philosophical aspect, universal motion, the thrill of the creative breath in nature. She says that the ancient philosophers who knew this fact, they consider ancient deity only as universal motion, nothing else. Occultism sums up the one existence thus: deity is an arcane, living fire. The occultist describes that deity is arcane. Arcane means which cannot be known easily. And living fire. Fire again is capital. Fire means not the fire which are using in our day-to-day work. Fire means a great energy which is always active, is always burning. Fire. And the eternal witness to this unseen presence are light, heat, and motion. Light, heat, and moisture. And that fire, that means that life, that great life, appears in the physical plane where we are working as light, heat, and moisture. As we know, the light, heat, and moisture are required for everything, for organic, inorganic, for everything, for creation, sustenance, and destruction of everything in the world, whether organic, inorganic. These three things are required: light, heat, and moisture. This trinity, including and being the cause of every phenomenon in nature. And therefore, these three, light, heat, and motion, are the trinity. Trinity means you can say three gods, three superior gods, which were anthropized in various scriptures under different names. So these three forces are responsible for everything phenomenon in nature. So here she touches in the footnote a little point about personal God. Mind, as we know, it is resolvable into states of consciousness of varying duration, intensity, complexity, etc., or an ultimate resting on sensation, which is again Maya. Theism perceives things and is affected by emotion. He repents and feels fierce anger. That means that certain school of philosophy or certain sects of religion which believe in personal God, theism. Theism means we personal deity who believe. They give some human attribute to the God. That means he can think, he can become angry, he can become happy, he can become some boon, he can curse somebody. So this is our human attribute that is given. That is, she's saying these attributes are nothing but creation of the quality of the human mind, because human mind is also having these qualities. The motion of such mental states clearly involves the unthinkable postulate of externality of the existing stimuli. But she says this type of description of a person God means that God is outside the system. That means something is affecting that, so that he becomes angry, he becomes present, happy, just like a human being becomes angry or happy by something outside, something maybe, or some other human being maybe by their action, by their speech. So notion of such mental states clearly involves the unthinkable postulate of eternity, externality of the exciting stimuli, to say nothing the impossibility of ascribing changelessness to a being whose emotion fluctuates with events in words we preside so on. Here she is saying and making more clear the key to theosophy. On the one hand, our scriptures say that God is eternal, God is immutable, changeless. So, but in this process, if we give an attribute of personal God, who is changing his mood, who is changing his thinking, so that is not compatible with the idea of a God eternal and immutable. So this is unphilosophical. The conception of a personal God as changeless and infinite are thus unpsychological and, what is worse, unphilosophical. And therefore, The Theosophy, Advaita Vedantic, and all the deeper philosophies outright reject the concept of a personal God. So, Plato, she's quoting Plato. Plato proves himself an initiate when saying in that theos is derived from the verb theo, to move. Earlier, she said that ancient philosopher called the deity nothing but the ceaseless motion. Now, here she is supporting that statement. Plato. The theos word is given by Plato. Theos is a Greek word. Theos. Theos means divine or God. And theos root, she's saying, is from the Greek word theo, which means to move. That means God, the word theos, that means God, derived from the root move, which is moving, that is God. That means what their life, life itself is God. To move, to run, as the first astronomers who observed the motion of the heavenly bodies called the planet. And therefore, the astronomers who observe the planets moving, they consider that every planet is a god or a house of a god, because gods at different levels. So everything where there is a motion, there is a god, in the sense that there is divine energy which is causing that motion, natural motion. Intracosmic motion is eternal and ceaseless. In the cosmos, there is various bodies. They are moving. They are having repulsion, attraction with each other, and that is ceaseless, never stopping. The visible or that which is subject to perception is finite and periodical, and that which is subject to perception of human being, that is periodical. As an eternal abstraction, it is the ever present. Now here she is bringing another word, ever present capital. Now this motion is ever present. That means the deity or the God or divine energy or the great life is ever present. As a manifestation, it is finite both in coming direction and the opposite, the two being the alpha and omega of the successive reconstruction. Manifestation, that means Manvantara and demanifestation, Pralaya, these happen successively, and this is being called alpha and omega, beginning and end of one cycle. There will be numerous cycles like that. So this is the phenomenal world. It is only the reference to the intracosmic soul, the ideal cosmos, in the immutable divine thought that we may say it never had a beginning nor have an end. She said it is only the ever cosmic motion, ever ceaseless motion, which is the always there, whether in passive or active state, and that is the contains the immutable divine thought. That means all the thoughts, all the plans of the future universe, what will happen, are there in here. And that has never beginning and never an end. But with regards to the body or cosmic, now here she is wording cosmos with C, cosmic. When she is cosmos with C, that means the body which is visible by our naked eye or even the subtle body of the cosmos. That is the body of the real cosmos. That means with K, that is spirit. The cosmic organization, though it cannot be said that it had a first or it will have a lost construction, yet now even the cosmic body, we cannot say this is the first body which is here in which we are living now, and this is the lost body. But during the present Manvantara, but every new Manvantara, we can start counting this one first and second one. But the actual beginning and actual end, there's nothing like that. Yeah, that is beginningless and endless it is called. Its organization may be regarded as the first and the last of its kind. But every universe or every cosmos with C can be regarded as the first and last of its kind. What does it mean? It means only that the cosmos which had appeared earlier or the cosmos which will appear later, they will be different from the cosmos which is present, where we are living. That means each being, like human being, animals, plants, minerals, will have probably different shape, different type of consciousness in subsequent cosmos, subsequent Brahmanda, and they were different in the earlier Brahmanda. So that means this is the first and last of its kind. So even what does it mean? That if we consider by analogy, each incarnation of human being, like you and me, this is the first and last of its kind. In previous incarnation, we were a different thing. Our consciousness was different level, our attributes were something different. And in next incarnation, we are altogether different. That is why transformation happening in every incarnation and going up. So just like every universe or every cosmos, with C cosmos, which is visible, is the first and last of its kind, it will not repeat. That means not repeat exactly. So similarly, the human being or each being, not only human being, each animal, each plant, each mineral kingdom, will not repeat exactly itself in the next incarnation, and it will change. Change is the law of nature. Everything will change. So in fact, we are changing every minute, every second, as science is also now admitted. So a few years ago only, it was stated that the esoteric doctrine then teaches like Buddhism and Brahmanism and even the persecuted Kabbalah that the one infinite and unknown essence exists from all eternity and in regular and harmonious succession in either passive or active. One unknown essence. Now here, ever presence now is given a different term, unknown essence. It is there because it is essence of everything. In the poetical phraseology of Manu, these conditions are called the day and the night of Brahma. In our Hindu scripture, these are called day and night of Brahma. When Brahma is being told, it is not the third logos, but it is the supreme Brahma. The latter is either awake or asleep. The Swabhavika, or philosophers of the oldest school of Buddhism, speculate but upon the active condition of the essence. Now, when describing all these things, Madame Blavatsky also compares the philosophies of various schools. Here she is comparing the Swabhavika, which is a school of Buddhism practiced in Nepal, she says. They consider only the active portion. They do not talk about the passive portion, Mahapralaya, where the occultism and the secret doctrine and even our Purana, they talk something about the passive state, Pralaya state also. So hence they are called atheists by the Christian theology and the modern scientists. Since they do not talk about passive things, they are called atheists, that they do not take the name of any God. Nominals are going with Berkeley that it is equally impossible for me to form the abstract idea of motion distinct from any body moving. What is that body? The producer of that motion is its substance, then you are believer in personal God. Now here is quoting another philosopher, Berkeley. He said, I cannot conceive any motion without a body. That is, of course, ordinary conception. So some body must be moving, then only motion will be visible. Now what is that body? That body was considered as a personal God in some of the philosophies. This will be answered further on. The science, has science, says one of its ablest advocate, Edward Claude, revealed anything that weakens or opposes itself on the ancient words in which the essence of all religion, past, present, and to come is given to justly, to love mercy, walk humanity before thy God. Now he's quoting a scientist. That means some scientists also have this conception or idea of these things. He's quoting the scientist Edward Claude, the time. He says God is nothing but love, mercy, essence of all, and walk humbly, humility. So these qualities of God. Provided we cannot by the word God, not the crude anthropomorphism, which is still the backbone of our current theology, but the symbolic conception of that which is life and motion of the universe. To know which is physical order is to know time, past, present, and to come in the existence of such phenomena. To know which is the moral is to know what has been, is, and will be within human consciousness. Again, in different words, he is trying to say that if we consider the personal God concept, we forget about the ethics and moral because we are always worried that God is happy or not happy. But basic idea of every two philosophies, every theology has to be morality, an ethical principle. So To understand the profound logic of this philosophy, all these things references are given. The former will love no other God than the personified secondary powers which have blindly worked out the visible universe and which become with them in anthropomorphic God of the Christian. The Christian or any other religion which believes in personal God, so that is rejected, as I told earlier. But certain forces or natural forces, like she's saying, motion and light, heat and moisture, they have been personified as gods in many of the religion concepts. In its turn, rationalism science views the Buddhist and the Svabhavika as the positive of the arcane age. If we take a one-sided view of the philosophy of the latter, our materialists may be right in their own way. The Buddhists maintain that there is no creator, but an infinitude of creating power. The Buddhist philosophy is quoting, there is no creator, but infinitude number of active powers which collectively form the one eternal substance, the essence of which is incrustable, hence not a subject for speculation for any true philosopher. Now here, earlier she said that ever presence is not conceivable by human mind, but even now the matter, substance, which is gets created in various forms, that is also beyond comprehension of the average mind, and that is also then described in form of various gods only. Socrates invariably refined to argue upon the mystery of universal being that no one would ever have thought of charging him as being a theist. Now she is quoting Socrates. She says Socrates was an ancient philosopher of Greece, and he also had similar concept, but nobody called him a theist. So upon inaugurating the active period, says the secret doctrine, an expansion of this divine essence from without inwardly and from within outwardly occurs in the obedience of eternal and immutable law, and the phenomenal or visible universe is the ultimate result of the long chain of cosmical forces, thus progressively set in motion. Now, this is an important sentence that inauguration of the active period, when the Maha Manvantara starts, then what happens? The essence of ever presence that expands from outwardly to inwardly and inwardly outwardly. That even there, the repulsion and expulsion of centrifugal and centrifugal motion goes on during Manvantara also, which are not perceptible by our senses, but it is going on regularly, just like inhaling, exhaling is going on in human body or the body of any animal, plant, etc. Same thing, expansion from outwards, inwards, inwards, outwards, regularly happening during the Manvantara period. In like manner, when the passive condition is resumed, a contraction of the divine essence takes place, and the previous work of the creation is gradually and progressively undone. The visible universe becomes disintegrated, its material dispersed, and darkness, solitary and alone, broods over the face of the deep. So, face of the deep is taken from Bible. Face of the deep. The deep means the mool prakriti or material world. So during the Mahapralaya, everything withdrawn, everything dissolves, but still the divine life, the great life, broods over. It is always there, present on the material, in the mool prakriti. The process has been going on from all eternity, and our present universe is but one of the infinite series which had no beginning and will have no end. Our present universe is again repeating the same thing, is a part of the infinite series going on, which has no beginning, no end. So this is the introduction given, the nature of the ever-presence, incognitive, and something touch about personal God, why it is rejected, why it is contradictory to the basic concept of the philosophy, and the ceaseless motion and all that. This idea was given in PROEM. Now this passage will be explained as far as it is possible in the present work. Present work means subsequent pages. Now she's again reverting to the pages where the disk was shown. The first illustration being a plain disk circle. The second one in the archaic symbol shows a point in the circle, a disk with a point in it. The first differentiation in the periodical manifestation of the ever-eternal nature. sexless and infinite. Aditi is that. Now that point, she's saying she's same, which is mentioned Aditi. Aditi in our Veda. Aditi is called mother of all the gods, divine. That means uh, from that point, from the germ, all the intelligence will appear. Aditi in that. Aditi in that. That means capital, THAT. Aditi is always there in the parabrahmic field, the consciousness field, the space. It is third stage, the point is transformed into a diameter. The third stage, when the Manvantara starts, then the point is transferred into diameter, horizontal diameter. It now symbolizes a divine immaculate mother nature, within the all-embracing absolute infinite truth. Mother nature, feminine nature, creative nature, it is found first in that whole consciousness. When the diameter line is crossed by vertical, then vertical line comes across, it becomes the mundane cross. That both active and passive principle of the great ever presence becomes operative, and by that the whole universe becomes manifested. Humanity has reached its third root race. The cross represents the third root race. It is the sign for the origin of human life to begin. Sign of origin of human life. Now, when is human life? When she's saying here, subsequently we say the human life is started much earlier. But human life, when the human becomes man, thinking man, the life begins. That stage is shown by cross. When the circumference disappears and leaves only the only cross, it is sign that the fall of man to matter is accomplished and the fourth race begins. When it becomes only cross, the circumference disappears, then she said that is the fourth root phase, when it is completely materialistic evolution, the stage of evolution. The cross within a circle symbolizes pure pantheism. Pantheism means everything is divine. When the cross was left uninscribed, it becomes phallic. When the unscribed becomes the phallic, that means some sexual concept came when sex is differed, separated from the man, women. It had the same and yet other meaning as a Tao inscribed in a circle. Now she's quoting other philosophy. Tao is again this one Chaldean philosophy, and Thor's hammer Greek philosophy, and Jaina Kras, in Jain people, they are all representing what is simply called swastika. By the third symbol, the circle divided into two by the horizontal line of the diameter, the first manifestation of creative is still passive because feminine nature was meant. Now she is explaining that appearing of the third page, the diameter, horizontal diameter, means appearing of the creative power which is still passive. Nature, the first shadowy perception of man connected with the procreation is feminine because man knows his mother more than the father. He says even ordinary human life, the first creative concept comes from the female, and man knows his mother more than the father. Hence, the female deities were more sacred than the male. He says in ancient times, female deities, devis, were more sacred than male. In all the, if you say the aboriginals, the tribal people, they mostly worship the female deity, goddesses. And that's why she says in ancient times, the female deities were preferred, were given preference over the male. Male deities came later. Nature is therefore feminine and to a degree objective and tangible, and the spirit principle which is fructifies it is conceived. Nature is objective, which can see, which can be experienced, and that is the considered the feminine principle, and the principle which fructifies it, which energizes it, that is our ever in conceived. By adding to the circle with the horizontal line in it, a perpendicular line, the tau was formed. Tau was the form of the letter, oldest form of letter. It was the glyph of the third root race to the day of symbolical fall, that is when the separation of the sexes by natural evolution took place. That means about middle of the third race, a double glyph or symbol. With these sub-races of the fifth race, it became the symbology, the Hebrew Jakhar and Negab of the first form races. Then it changed into the Egyptian emblem of Egyptian symbol, she is saying one circle supported by a T. Circle, that is called emblem of life in Egyptian symbol. And still later into the sign of Venus. Sign of Venus is a circle and below a cross. Circle supported by cross is the sign of Venus. Then comes the swastika, Thor's hammer, a hermetic cross. No, swastika, all of us we know, but swastika is represented in two ways, clockwise and anti-clockwise. That represents entirely separated from its circle, this becoming purely phallic, purely anthropomorphic. The exoteric symbol of Kali Yuga is the five-pointed star, reversed thus, five-pointed star, where the two horns are upwards and one horn is downward. That represents Kali Yuga according to her description here. So it is hoped that during the perusal of this work, the erroneous idea of public in general and with regard to pantheism will be modified. It is wrong and unjust to regard the Buddhist and Adventic occultist as atheists. She says that the Orthodox Hindus and Orthodox Christians and who believe in personal God, they consider Buddhist and Advait Vedantis and occultists as atheists. But that is wrong. She also said later, that these beings who believe in existence and the person who believes in pantheism, that means everywhere the divine energy there, that is really theist. So, if not all of them philosophers, they are at any rate all logicians, their objections and arguments being based on strict reasoning. Indeed, if the Parabrahman of Hindus may be taken as a representative of the hidden and nameless deities of other nations, this absolute principle will be found to be the prototype from which all the others were copied. Now she's saying Parabrahman, which is Hindu philosophy, is also appears under different names in different philosophy. And this is mentioning to just prove that the concept of this one invisible eternal principle has been from various schools of thought, various philosophy from most ancient days. Parabrahma is not God because it is not a God. It is not God because it is not a God. Now, why is it not a God? Because whenever the God concept comes, there the idea comes that God is something outside. That means we can please Him by worship, by prayer, by bhajan, kirtan, or if we do not do all things, it becomes discipline. So he's not a God. And he's not a God also. He's not a supreme God also. That means other gods working. So the concept of God, which is outside the system, whether the supreme God or a God, is outright rejected in this philosophy. It is thus which is supreme and not supreme. Now she is quoting Mandukya Upanishad, which says it is supreme but not supreme. Supreme as a cause, but not supreme as effect. That means that principle is the cause of all the universes, whatever is happening. But whatever effects are coming, absolute effect, that is not so. That effect will depend upon the action of the various intelligences, various angels, various beings of that universe. And those effects will vary. So Parabrahma is simply a secondless reality. The all-inclusive cosmos, or rather the infinite cosmic space. Now here saying all-inclusive cosmos or the cosmic space. Now here she's using both words with K and C. All-inclusive cosmos with K and also the cosmic space infinite, which were visible. Infinite space, if you look our eyes upward, downward, this way, that way, infinite cosmos can be comprehended, seen to some extent. So all this constitute the Parabrahma in manifestation, which is appearing. So we can say that Brahman neuter is appearing as a space, infinite space. Manifestation is always there. So Brahman neuter being the unchanging, pure, free, undecaying supreme root, the one true existence, Paramarthika. Here another word is used, one true existence, and which is Paramarthika. Paramarthika is a Buddhist term which means absolute truth, Param Satya. And the absolute Chit and Chaitanya, intelligence, consciousness. Chit and Chaitanya, two words are being Sanskrit. Chit means intelligence, absolute chit, intelligence and consciousness. The absolute word used, that means that is beyond all these states of consciousness, transcendenting. And from that, when the manifestation starts, different level of consciousness will appear right up to the physical material world level. So can the flame be called the essence of fire? So again, it is trying to explain, because this principle is so much incomprehensible. Various type of descriptions are being used to make us to comprehend to some extent that principle. So here one sentence used: can the flame be considered as a fire? Be called essence of fire. Flame and fire are both one. So there's nothing like essence. That means, what does it mean? Everything is visible, invisible, space, everything is Parabrahman. In that way, we can conceive, we can think of it. So there are no concept of essence, there's nothing like that. Essence can be of something which is different. But earlier it was said essence, now it says there's no essence. Flame and fire are same thing. This essence is the life and light of the universe. So if you consider essence, then whatever life and light naturally is appearing, that we can call essence. Fire and flame destroy the body of the earth, their essence makes them immortal. Fire and flame. That means the knowledge of that divine knowledge, one way person gets during initiation, he becomes arhat, but this destroyed his body. That means personality disappears at that stage. So she's called Shankaracharya also. When she also said spirit and fire, the spirit of the fire, not the fire itself. And therefore, the attributes of the latter, heat or flame, are not the attributes of the spirit. So he's calling the spirit of the fire, the Parabrahman. Parabrahman is in short the collective aggregate of cosmos in its infinity and eternity. The that and this does not apply to this. A collective aggregate, that everything is there.
Close.
Everything, whatever is in cosmos, invisible, visible, aggregate, everything aggregate is Parabrahman. So the word that and this had no meaning. In our Upanishad, tad and this is word used in various descriptions, that has no meaning with respect to that. And she's quoting Shankaracharya. In the beginning, this was the self one only. The great Shankaracharya explained that this refers to the universe. So not to that Parabrahman. In the beginning, meaning before the reproduction of the phenomenal universe. Therefore, when the pantheist echo Upanishad, which state as the secret doctrine that this cannot create, they do not deny a creator, or rather a collective aggregate of creators, but only refuse very logically to attribute creation and especially formation something finite to the infinite principle. Because that is infinite, so to create something, we have to become finite. For example, if I am thinking something, I'm writing something, or I'm making something, I have to limit myself to the thinking. But that infinite principle cannot limit itself, so it cannot be created. Because Parabrahman is a passive because of absolute cause, unconditioned mukta. It is only limited omniscience and omnipotence that are refused to the latter. It is absolute omniscience or absolute omnipotence, but for creating something, it has limit, and that cannot happen because there cannot be two absolute, and therefore creative energy or creative powers are lower intelligences according to this philosophy. And therefore, if Vedanti postulates attributes as belonging simply to its emanation, calling it Ishwar plus Maya, Brahman appears when Ishwar plus Maya in manifestation, and then the creation starts. That means for creation, both spirit and matter required, and then when the differentiation starts, then for creating the lower intelligence come into play. In the sense of perception of finite beings, that is non-being, in the sense that it is one beingness. Now, Madame Brodsky is wording unique word beingness, and Sanskrit was sat. It is no being, no thing, it is beingness, sat, they are always there. And during the, before the, at the dawn of the Manvantara, she is quoting from Hindu Purana, where it says Narayana.
So it is time to close, sir.
Okay, Narayan moving on the water of space. That means the Narayan, the divine energy becomes active, it starts moving motion, and the spirit becomes matter. It activates the matter, and the universe appears, gets manifested. So thank you very much. The first part is completed, and we will complete the second part during next session.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Now I request anyone who would like to ask any questions on this important, of course, difficult subject for us, the student of theosophy. But one must read and meditate on it, and then we can slow little by little. So I request anyone who would like to ask any question. So our speaker is ready to give the answer.
Or add anything?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
as far as theology is concerned, what exactly is the God if a personal God is not a God?
Who is speaking, please? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Who is speaking?
We are considering, I am Dr. Basuraj Reddy from Ballari, sir.
Okay, okay. So what is your question?
We are refusing the pantheism gods, that is personal gods. What exactly is a God then?
God, he says, God, earlier, next part will come. God is the law in nature. God is appearing as a law in nature. In fact, the secret doctrine conclusion says, we do not deny God in nature. We only deny God as an entity outside our system, outside our body, outside this universe. In every atom, that Godhood is there. God is not there. God, when we say God, that means some particular being. God who is there, that element is there, divine principle is there, which is self-active, which is active according to the law, according to the immutable law, which cannot be changed. And of those laws, he says the law of karma is supreme. And she is saying in that subsequently, the Parabrahman is manifesting as all the divine laws. Out of that, law of karma is supreme. And therefore, no highest devas, no angels, no dhyanis, no saints, no avatara, no prophet has any authority to interfere with the law of karma.
So this description of God has nothing to do with the truth.
With which truth?
Truth, what we say truth. Does it have any relation with the term God?
In the subsequent description, it will come that whatever concept of God is there in various theologies, various dharma shastra, that is just creation of the mind, creation of human brain, not even mind, human brain, which has got limitation, which has made its own fancy, and which is created. And later she is also quoting some philosopher who says that suppose if a horse or lion had power of painting or having a brush and color, they will make God in their form. So here not only form, but human attributes, I say, human attributes, getting pleased, getting happy, getting unhappy, all that attributes can be only at human level. It cannot be at high level. Even Mahatma says it is not at our level also. So who are perfect human beings, Mahatma. So our attributes that become unhappy with somebody, we become unhappy with somebody, that we have imposed on the God. And that is the disadvantage of personal God. And when so long as we are indulging in personal God, our spiritual progress is hindered because we are not able to understand the whole thing, true thing. And therefore our behavior, our conduct in the society is not correct. It's a prejudice because we consider somebody lower, somebody higher, and all those things come. And therefore our conduct is not accordance with the principle of unity, which is emphasized by the secret doctrine of our.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Now I request if there is no other question, so I request Madhavji. Madhavji, can you close with a...
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes,
yes,
sir.
yes.
Sir, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Oh, असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतंगमय ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, a small announcement. So, there will be no class on 27, 29, and 3rd November because of Indian section programs. We have a lot of programs. So, there will be no online class on 27th, next Sunday, 29th, and also 3rd of the November. With these announcements, so I appreciate and also thank you, convey my regards to our speaker and all the participants. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.